Hello and welcome to this video tutorial. Today we're looking at creating a successful color overlay over an image in Adobe Photoshop. We want the tones in this image to look really good, and that's what we're going to be focusing on. Now the image that I'm using is from unsplash.com, so you can go and download it. It's from a lady called Bruna Soares, and it's just a super cute image, but you will notice that I've cropped it, so I'm only focusing on a little bit of the roof and the tree and the Volkswagen, but something that's sort of an old-time image will work really well, and don't worry if it's full color like this because it's going to work a treat. So back in Photoshop I've already got this cropped image open, and so I'm going to show my layers panel. I'm just pressing F7 to show my layers. I'm going to unlock this layer because I need to work on it. Now what I'm going to do with this layer first of all is go and deal with it in Camera Raw. So I'm going to right click it and I'm going to convert it to a smart object, because that means that I can re-edit it later on. The edits won't be baked into the image. Then we'll come up here to Filter and choose Camera Raw Filter. And that opens Camera Raw on top of the Photoshop interface if you're lucky. Otherwise it'll be on your second screen. So what we're going to do here is look at the color in the image, and we're going to make it black and white. So up here in Camera Raw we've got the basic panel, so I'm just going to click on that, and up here in the edit area there's a black and white option, so we're going to click on that to make our black and white. Now our black and white has a lot of tone in it, so there's a lot of dark areas. We want to try and flatten that a little bit, so we're going to do probably the opposite of what you would typically do with a photograph. So firstly I want to reduce the contrast. I'm going to bring the contrast down a little bit. The highlights, the really lighter areas, I want them to be less light, so I'm going to bring them down a little bit. And the shadow areas, I want to open those up, so I'm just going to wind those up. With the whites I want to bring them down a little bit, and the blacks I want to bring them up a little bit. Again, flattening out the look here. For texture, I want less texture in the image, so I'm going to wind that back a bit, but it is going to soften the image, so I don't want to take it back too far. And clarity, well, traditionally if you go up with clarity you're going to get some contrast in the midtones. If we go down, we're going to kill the contrast in the midtones. Again, something I'm looking to do. And dehaze, well, if we take it up we're going to add a lot of sharpness and crispness to the image. We don't want that, we're just going to wind that back as well. You want to make sure in detail that you don't have any sharpening at all, so make sure that when you open detail there is no sharpening applied to the image. Now we are also going to look at the black and white mixer here, because this will allow us to adjust individual colors. And if you remember rightly, the roof here was orange, so if we go to the oranges here we can darken the roof or we can lighten it. So we're just going to poke around these colors. What I like to do is just to take a color and go all the way in one direction and all the way in another direction, and see if it even impacts the image and where it impacts the image, and then make a decision. So let's look at yellows here. Well, that's pretty much the wall. Probably a little bit light, but nothing too much there. Greens, that's obviously going to be in the tree. It's also in the vehicle. So I want to increase the green, so I'm lightening the green areas in the image. Let's have a look at aquas. Well, again, that's the vehicle too, so I'm going to lighten that a little bit. Blues, that's in the window, and I think I might bring it down just a little bit. Purples, I doubt that there are any purples in the image, not seeing any real effect there. And magentas also, I wouldn't expect to see much in the way of magentas in the image. Just be careful when you're doing your black and white mixer that you don't sort of fracture things, that you have something going all the way in one direction and the colors either side of it going all the way in the other direction, because you are going to get this fracturing in the image. You can see it's really, really clear how the image hasn't handled that very well at all. But if you try and make a sort of smoother transition around these colors, then you'll get a better looking effect as a result. I'm pretty happy with that. It's looking a little bit softer, and certainly all the tones have gone from the image, so I'll just click OK. So now that we're back in Photoshop, we've got the edits to the image. We can always turn them on and off just to see the impact of our change here, and I really do like using that Camera Raw filter. One of the reasons is, of course, we can just double click on it to reopen the image in the Camera Raw filter, and if we don't like what we've done we can fix it. So let's just exit out of there. Now we're going to apply a color overlay. So we're going down here in the layers palette to the FX icon, click on that and choose color overlay. At this point you can choose the color that you want to use. So I've been working in pinks here, but let's go and look at a sort of pale turquoise. So we're looking for something between green and blue, and then how light or how dark you're going to make it is going to depend on your taste here. So I think I might make mine a little bit darker. Let's click OK and OK again. Now looking at the image, there is one problem I'm seeing, and that is under the car here. I think that I have added too much of an adjustment in the black and white, so let's just go and turn off this smart filter, this camera raw smart filter. You can see that this area was really quite black, and I've made it quite light, but that hasn't been totally successful. So let's just go back into the camera raw filter. A really good argument here for using smart objects. And what I'm going to do in this black and white mixer is there's a little tool here which is a targeted adjustment tool. So if I click on that, I can just look at this area here and work out what it is that is the colors in this area, and I can drag to the right to lighten them or to the left to darken them. And because they started off really dark, I think that they need to be darker. And let's have a look at this one too. I think I'm going to need to do that to not fracture the colors underneath the car here and make it look incorrect. So let's just click OK, and that's a better result here in the image. And of course you can change the colors really easily. You could either double click on this color overlay layer to change the color, or we could add a second color overlay. Let's go in and duplicate this color overlay. So let's just add it, second one in here. I'm going to turn this one off, but I'm going to make this one a different color. Now before I exit this dialog, I'm going to turn on my blue one as well. So both of them are appearing in the layers panel. I'll click OK, and now I can turn one off or turn the other off in the layers panel, but you'll want to make sure that you have both the color overlays selected in that dialog before you exit it, because otherwise they won't both appear in the layers panel, so you won't be able to toggle between the two of them and decide which of them you like best. If you like carefully researched content like this, clearly presented in a step-by-step format so that you can get great results, then you'll love my Skillshare content. I'm a Skillshare top teacher. I have hundreds of short courses on Skillshare that you can access, along with thousands of other great courses, all for the price of a single subscription. If you're interested, there's a Skillshare coupon for you in the description below to use to sign up. Using this coupon benefits me as a creator, and it helps me continue to make free content available here for you also on YouTube. Thank you for joining me for this video tutorial. On the screen now, you'll see a video that I've hand-picked for you. If you enjoyed the video you've just watched, I know that you're going to really enjoy the one I've picked for you to watch next.